If you ever taken a project management course or read those textbook chapters about project life cycle, you probably think project management looks like neat Gantt charts, predictable milestones, and teams that actually follow the plan. But if you've managed a real project, you know it's complete chaos. I'm Damon, and after leading transformation project worth millions of dollars, I can tell you that everything they taught in business school about project management was basically useless. Today, I'm showing 8 brutal realities of project management that no certification will prepare you for. And more importantly, what actually works when you're in the trenches. If this is your first time here, I share real career advice for project managers, especially those of us who didn't follow the traditional path. Let me start with the biggest line they tell you in project management school. Scope is defined upfront and locked down. Here's what my textbook said. Create a detailed project charter, get stakeholders sign-off, and manage changes through formal change requests. Here's what actually happened on my last project. We have a trial site, everyone was excited, and then one of the workstream leads saw the first demo. Suddenly he had one tiny suggestion that would require rebuilding half the system. Then marketing realized that they forgot to mention that critical integration with the CRM. Then the user tested our beta and asked for just a few small tweaks that turned into 3 weeks of additional development work. I call this the micro creep snowball. You think you're agreeing to small changes, but by the end of the quarter, those quick tweaks have eaten up an entire sprint. Here's what I learned actually works. First, create time-boxed change windows. We only discuss scope changes every 2 weeks, not every time someone has a coffee chat idea. Second, use scope impact checklists that force people to see the real cost. When the workstream lead sees that his tiny suggestion will push the launch back 3 weeks, suddenly it's not so important. And here's the key. Position scope changes as business pivots, not team failures. The market evolved, requirement became clearer. That's normal. Your developers aren't incompetent. They're adapting to reality. The second thing they don't tell you, your stakeholders are actively working against each other. Project management textbooks talk about stakeholder alignment like it was a simple communication problem. Just keep everyone informed, right? Wrong. On my CRM transformation project, finance wanted to cut costs by 30%. Marketing wanted flashy features that would double the budget. And compliance was having nightmares about regulatory risks. Every meeting was a battle between 3 completely different visions of success. Here's what I wish someone had told me. Before your project even kicks off, create a simple heat map. Plot your stakeholders by influence and interest, and identify the conflicts early. Then, and this changed everything for me, have one-on-one coffee chats before the big meetings. I learned this the hard way. I was trying to facilitate those group sessions where everyone would argue their positions publicly. Nobody wanted to look weak by compromising. But when I met with the finance director perfectly, I understood his real concerns. And when I sat down with the marketing VP and learned about her performance metrics, suddenly I could find solutions that worked for everyone. Those quiet conversations diffuse more conflicts than any formal stakeholder workshop would ever. Here's mistake number 3 I made. Thinking I had any real authority as a project manager. Every org chart shows the project manager with these neat dotted lines to team members. The textbooks talk about directing resources and assigning tasks. The reality, your team members don't report to you. They report to functional managers who have their own priorities, their own deadlines, and their own performance reviews to worry about. Your staff developer cares more about the architecture review with their tech lead than your sprint demo. Your designer is juggling 3 other projects with people who actually control their salary. You're managing through influence, not authority. And most of us learn this the painful way. So how do you actually get things done? It's all about building what I call trust currency. Deliver quick wins first, clear their blockers, share credit publicly, make their lives easier. Then when you need that stretch effort for a critical deadline, you've got good view in the bank. I stopped giving commands and started asking coaching questions. Instead of, you need to finish this by Friday, I say, what will stop us from hitting Friday's demo? Let them solve the problem. You just guide the conversation. And here's a pro tip. Leverage social proof. If the CTO endorses your approach, mention it. People follow respected leaders, not project timelines. Now let's talk about the 4th reality. Resource planning is basically fiction. Those neat resource allocation charts in your project plan, They assume people are 100% dedicated to a project. In the real world, everyone's at 120% capacity across multiple projects, plus their regular job, plus that quick favor from the VP that somehow becomes a 2-week deep dive. I had a database administrator who was supposedly dedicated to our transformation project. Turns out he was the only DBA for 5 different initiatives. Every time we needed him, he was fighting fires somewhere else. Here's what actually works. Create visual traffic light dashboards. Red, amber, green status for every team member's workload. When everyone sees that Sarah is juggling 4 critical deliverables, the conversation changes. Suddenly, it's not about Sarah being slow, it's about resource allocation being impossible. Learn to negotiate scope instead of just assuming overtime will solve everything. Trade features for timeline. Shift milestones. Find creative solutions. Don't burn out your best people because your resources plan was unrealistic. And always add buffer time for critical path tasks owned by shared specialists. That 15 to 20% padding saved my project more times than I can count. Here's the 5th thing that surprised me. Most project documentation is completely useless. I spent weeks creating this beautiful 200-page requirements document for my first major project. Detailed user stories, comprehensive acceptance criteria, gorgeous formatting. You know how many people read it? 0. My developers were looking at Jira tickets and Slack threads. My stakeholders wanted executive summaries and demo videos. All that beautiful documentation was just expensive shelf decoration. Here's what I learned. If nobody reads it, don't write it. Focus on living documents. Confluent pages that update as information changes, not static Word files that become outdated immediately. Create single source connections. Embed Jira ticket numbers, link to Figma designs, connect to shared drive folders. Your team shouldn't be hunting through email chains to find the latest updates. And be ruthless about what you actually document. Only create documentation that supports onboarding new team members, satisfies audits, or enables project handoffs. Everything else is optional. Your time is better spent facilitating conversations than writing documents nobody will read. The 6th reality check. Formal change control processes collapse the moment something urgent happens. My ITIL training taught me about change advisory boards, impact assessments, and approval workflows. Very structured, very professional. Then production went down at 2 a.m. and changes got approved through Slack, emoji reactions, and emergency phone calls. Because when your customers can't access the system, nobody's waiting for the change advisory board to meet on Tuesday. Here's the compromise that actually works. Use formal CAB processes for high-risk changes that could break everything. But create quick approval for low-risk tricks. Just get 2 smart people who understand the impact to sign off. Most changes don't need a community. They need 2 people who know what they're doing to say, yes, this makes sense. And capture everything. Use bots to log those Slack approvals, export emergency decisions to PDF for compliance. Your auditors don't care how the decisions got made. They care that you can prove it was made thoughtfully. 7th reality. Risk registers are project theater. I would dutifully create these comprehensive risk matrices at project kickoff. Probability scores, impact ratings, migration strategies, very thorough, very professional. By Spring 3, half those risks were completely irrelevant, and nobody had identified the vendor acquisition that was about to kill our integration timeline. Static risk registers make you feel organized while being completely useless. Here's what works. Revisit your top 5 risks in weekly retrospectives. Drop the resolved ones, and add the new tracks that nobody saw coming. Run Pre-Mortem sections with your team. Imagine without particularly 6 months from now. What went wrong? These generates better insights than any template will ever give you. And keep it visual. A simple 2x2 heat map, impact versus likelihood, keeps executive attention longer than a 50-row spreadsheet that nobody reads. Finally, the biggest disconnection of all, the definition of project success. Every textbook talks about the iron triangle: scope, timeline, and cost. Deliver what was requested, on schedule, on budget. Project successful, right? I deliver a customer's portal exactly as specified, on time, under budget. 6 months later, customer satisfaction scores were still terrible because what they asked for wasn't what they actually needed. Real success is measured in business value, user adoption rates, revenue lift, time saving, risk reduction, metrics that matter to the people writing the checks. I started tracking expected versus realized value at 30, 90, and 180 date checkpoints. I mapped project outcomes through quarterly business objectives so executives could see the strategic connection. And I learned to tell stories with data. We reduced customer onboarding time by 40%, which freed up our sales team to close 50% more deals this quarter. That's the kind of success story that gets you promoted. Look, I'm not saying textbook knowledge is worthless. You need those fundamentals, the frameworks, the vocabulary. But real project management success comes from adapting to reality, not fighting it. The best project managers I know are facilitators who clear blockers, guide decisions, and create space for teams to do their best work. We're not commanders, we're enablers. If you're struggling to break into project management or feeling like your current projects are chaos, you are not alone. Every successful PM has been exactly where you are right now. If you want specific guidance on making this transition, whether you are new to PM or trying to level up, I offer free cancellation calls where we can discuss your situation and create a plan that actually works. The link is in the description below. I love more resources on building a successful project management career. What is your biggest project management reality check? Drop a comment and let me know what surprised you most when you started managing real projects. I read every comment and often create videos addressing your specific challenges. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.